Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is from Canto 2, Chapter 4, and Text 18. We're fortunate this morning to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu ISKCON, Philadelphia, to give the class. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Shall we go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
And if devotees would like, if they're in a condition, I'd appreciate if you'd unmute yourselves so it's just not me chanting alone. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava
Kunja
Bihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha
Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari
Jaya Gopi
Jana
Jana
Vallabha
Vallabha
गिरिवरधारी
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज रंजन
Brajajanaranjana
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन
यशोदानंदन
Yashodanandana
ब्रज रंजन
Brajajanaranjana
जमुना तीरा वनचारी
Yamunatira
नतीरा
Vanachari
वनचारी
जमुना तीरा वनचारी
यमुनतीरा
Yamunatira
वनचारी
Vanachari
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
Jaya
राधा
Radha
माधवा
Madhava
कुंज
Kunja
बिहारी
Bihari
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
Jaya
राधा
Radha
माधवा
Madhava
कुंज
Kunja
बिहारी
Bihari
गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
Jaya
गोपी
Gopi
जन
Jana
वल्लभा
Vallabha
गिरिवरधारी
Girivaradhari
गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी
Jaya
गोपी
Gopi
जन
Jana
वल्लभा
Vallabha
गिरिवरधारी
Girivaradhari
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन
यशोदानंदन ब्रज
Yashodanandana
जन
Brajajana
रंजन
Ranjana
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन
यशोदानंदन
Yashodanandana
ब्रज
Brajajana
जन रंजन
Ranjana
यमुना तीरा बनचारी
Yamuna
यमुना तीरा
Tira
वनचारी
Vanachari
यमुना तीरा बनचारी
Yamuna
यमुना
Tira
तीरा वनचारी
Vanachari
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
Jaya
राधा माधवा
Radha
कुंज
Kunja
बिहारी
जय
Bihari
राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी
Jaya
राधा
Radha
माधवा
Madhava
कुंज
Kunja
बिहारी
Bihari
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस AC भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय
जय
Jai
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय
Jai
जय
इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai
नाम आचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय
Jai
जय
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय
Jai
जय
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय
Jai
जय
वृंदावन धाम की जय
Jai
जय
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय
Jai
जय
गंगा माई की जय
Jai
जय
जमुना माई की जय
Jai
जय
तुलसी देवी की जय
Jai
जय
भक्ति देवी की जय
Jai
जय
श्रमवेता भक्त वृंद की जय
Jai
जय
गौर प्रेमानंदे
Hari
हरे
Hari
हरि
Bol
बोल
all glories to the assembled devotees
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna
all glories to the assembled devotees
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna
all glories to the assembled devotees
हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna
all glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol.
All glories
हरि
to
बोल
Guru Guru
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
ओम
Namo
नमो
Bhagavate
भगवते वासुदेवाय
Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We're reading, discussing, and studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, The Cosmic Manifestation, text number 18. Kirata Hunanda Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumbhaya Vanaka Sadaya Ye Necha Papa Yudupashraya Shraya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namah. Kirata Hulandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumbhaya Vanaka Sadaya Ye Necha Papa Yudupashraya Shraya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namah. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Shumbhaya Vanakashadaya Ye Necha Papa Yadupashraya Sreya Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Please chant.
Virata Hunandra Pulinga Pulkasha Avira Shimbha Yavana Kasadaya Inecha Papa Yadapasraya Saya Sudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. Hare Krishna.
किराटहुनान्द्र पुलिन्द पुल्कषा अभीरशुम्भा यवनाकसाधया यन्ये च पापा यदपाश्रयाश्रया छुद्यन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः.
At least one more. Please. Please. One more.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
There we go. There we go.
किरात हुनांद्र पुलिंद पुलकषा अभीरसुंभ यवनः कषादयः येन्ये च पाप यद अपाश्रयाश्रयः सुधन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः.
Thank you. Kirata, a province of old Bharata, Hun, part of Germany and Russia. Andhra, a province of southern India. Pulinda, the Greeks. Pulkasha, another province. Abhira, part of old Sind. Shumbha, another province. Yavana, the Turks. Kasha-adaya, the Mongolian province. J, even those. Anye, others. Cha, also. Papa, addicted to sinful acts. Yat, whose. Upashrayashraya, having taken shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Shudyanti, at once purified. Tasmai, unto him. Prabhavishnave, unto the powerful Vishnu. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Translation. Kirata, Hun, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abhira, Shumbha, Javana, members of the Khasa races, and even others addicted to sinful acts, can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, due to his being the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Report. Kirata, a province of old Bharatvarsha, mentioned in the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata. Generally, the Karatas are known as the Aboriginal tribes of India, and in modern days, the Santal Parganas in Bihar and Chota Nagpur might comprise the old province named Kirata. Hun, The area of East Germany and part of Russia is known as the province of the Huns. Accordingly, sometimes a kind of hill tribe is also known as the Huns. Andhra, a province in southern India, mentioned in the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata. It is still extant under the same name. Pulinda. It is mentioned in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva 174:38, viz. The inhabitants of the province of the name Pulinda. This country was conquered by Bhimsen and Sahadev. The Greeks are known as Pulindas, and it is mentioned in the Vana Parva of the Mahabharata that the non-Vedic race of this part of the world would rule over the world. This Pulinda province was also one of the provinces of Bharat, and the inhabitants were classified amongst the Kshatriya kings. But later on, due to their giving up the Brahminical culture, they were mentioned as Mlechas, just as those who are not followers of the Islamic culture are called kafirs, and those who are not followers of the Christian culture are called heathens. Abhira. This name also appears in the Mahabharata, both in the Shabha Parva and Bhishma Parva. It is mentioned that this province was situated on the river Saraswati in Sindh. The modern Sindh province formerly extended on the other side of the Arabian Sea, and all the inhabitants of that province were known as the Abhiras. They were under the domination of Maharaj Yudhishthir, and according to the statements of Markandeya, the Mlechas of this part of the world would also rule over Bharat. Later on, this proved to be true, as in the case of the Pulindas. On the behalf of the Pulindas, Alexander the Great conquered India, and on behalf of the Abhiras, Muhammad Ghori conquered India. These Abhiras were also formerly Kshatriyas within the Brahminical culture, but they gave up the connection. The Kshatriyas, who were afraid of Parshuram and had hidden themselves in the Caucasian hilly regions, later became known as Abhiras, and the place they inhabited was known as Abhira Desh. Shumbas or Kankas, the inhabitants of the Kanka province of Old Bharat, mentioned in the Mahabharata. Javanas. Javana was the name of one of the sons of Maharaj Yayati, who was given the part of the world known as Turkey to rule. Therefore, the Turks are Javanas, due to being descendants of Maharaj Javan. The Javanas were therefore Kshatriyas, and later on, by giving up the Brahminical culture, they became Mlecha Javanas. Descriptions of the Javanas are in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva 85:34. Another prince, called Turvasu, was also known as Javana, and his country was conquered by Sahadev, one of the Pandavas. The western Javanas joined with Duryodhan in the battle of Kurukshetra under the pressure of Karna. It was also foretold that these Javanas would also conquer India, and it proved to be true. Kasa. The inhabitants of Kasa Desh are mentioned in the Mahabharata, Drona Parva. Those who have a stunted growth of hair on the upper lip are generally called Kasas. As such, the Kasas are the Mongolians. The Chinese and others were so designated. The above-mentioned historical names are different nations of the world. Even those who are constantly engaged in sinful acts are all corrigible to the standard of perfect human beings if they take shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Jesus Christ and Muhammad, two powerful devotees of the Lord, have done tremendous service on behalf of the Lord on the surface of the globe. And from the version of Srila Shukadev Goswami, it appears that instead of running a godless civilization in the present context of the world situation, if the leadership of the world affairs is entrusted to the devotees of the Lord, for which a worldwide organization under the name and style of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness has already been started, then by the grace of the Almighty Lord, there can be a thorough change of heart in human beings all over the world. because the devotees of the Lord are able authorities to effect such a change by purifying the dust-worn minds of the people in general. The politicians of the world may remain in their respective positions because the pure devotees of the Lord are not interested in political leadership or diplomatic implications. The devotees are interested only in seeing that the people in general are not misguided by political propaganda, and the valuable life of a human being is not spoiled in following a type of civilization which is ultimately doomed. If the politicians, therefore, would be guided by the good counsel of the devotees, then certainly there would be a great change in the world situation by the purifying propaganda of the devotees, as shown by Lord Chaitanya. As Shukadev Goswami began his prayer by discussing the word Yat Kirtanam, so also Lord Chaitanya recommended that simply by glorifying the Lord's holy name, a tremendous change of heart can take place, by which the complete misunderstanding between the human nations created by politicians can be at once extinguished. And after the extinction of the fire of misunderstanding, other prophets will follow. The destination is to go back home, back to Godhead, as we have several times discussed in these pages. According to the cult of devotion, generally known as the Vaishnava cult, there is no bar against anyone's advancing in the matter of God realization. A Vaishnava is powerful enough to turn into a Vaishnava, even Kirata, etc., as above mentioned. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:32, it is said by the Lord that there is no bar to becoming a devotee of the Lord, even for those who are low-born or women, Shudras, or Vaishyas. And by becoming a devotee, everyone is eligible to return home, back to Godhead. The only qualification is that one takes shelter of a pure devotee of the Lord who has thorough knowledge in the transcendental science of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna becomes a pure devotee and a spiritual master for the general mass of people, and may reclaim them by purification of heart. Though a person be even the most sinful man, he can at once be purified by systematic contact with a pure Vaishnava. A Vaishnava therefore can accept a bona fide disciple from any part of the world without any consideration of caste and creed, and promote him by regular principles to the status of a pure Vaishnava who is transcendental to Brahminical culture. The system of caste, or Varnashram Dharma, is no longer regular even amongst the so-called followers of the system, nor is it now possible to reestablish the institutional function in the present context of social, political, and economic revolution. Without any reference to the particular custom of a country, one can be accepted to the Vaishnava cult spiritually, and there is no hindrance in the transcendental process. So by the order of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the cult of Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Bhagavad Gita, can be preached all over the world, reclaiming all persons willing to accept the transcendental cult. Such cultural propaganda by the devotees will certainly be accepted by all persons who are reasonable and inquisitive, without any particular bias for the custom of the country. The Vaishnava never accepts another Vaishnava on the basis of birthright, just as he never thinks of the deity of the Lord in the temple as an idol. And to remove all doubts in this connection, Srila Shukadev Goswami has invoked the blessings of the Lord, who is all-powerful. Prabhu Vishnave Namaha. As the all-powerful Lord accepts the humble servants of his devotee and devotional activities of the archan, his form as the worshipable deity in the temple, similarly, the body of a pure Vaishnava changes transcendentally at once when he gives himself up to the service of the Lord and is trained by a qualified Vaishnava. The injunction of a Vaishnava regulation in this connection runs as follows. Acharye Vishnu Shiladhir Gurushu Naramatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Sri Vishnur Namni Shabda Shamanya Buddhi, etc. One should not consider the deity of the Lord as worshipped in the temple to be an idol, nor should one consider the authorized spiritual master an ordinary man, nor should one consider a pure Vaishnava to belong to a particular caste, etc. Padma Purana. The conclusion is that the Lord, being all-powerful, can, under any and every circumstance, accept anyone from any part of the world, either personally or through his bona fide manifestation as the spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya accepted many devotees from communities other than the Varnashramites, and he himself declared to teach us that he does not belong to any caste or social order of life, but that he is the eternal servant of the Lord, who maintains the damsels of Vrindavan, Lord Krishna. That is the way of self-realization. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shapandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I would like to ask permission and blessings from all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. I was very happy to see that by some good fortune, I'm able to speak on this particular verse, which is one of my favorite verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada very frequently quoted from this verse, and if you search for Kirata in the Veda base, you'll find dozens of instances where Srila Prabhupada focused on this verse and commenting on Krishna conscious philosophy. So here, Shukadev Goswami is glorifying Lord Vishnu and offering his respectful obeisances to him, who has the potency of uplifting and purifying even uncivilized people from very dark or miserable backgrounds. How? That is through the association of the devotees of the Lord, or those who have actually taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. The word there is given upashraya. Upashraya means that person who's taken shelter, and then upashraya ashraya means taking shelter of that person who's taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Ordinary man, people can't come up with a process of purification of the heart. But Krishna can do so. He's the source of purification, and he does so particularly through the association of his devotees. And in this connection, Srila Prabhupada was speaking on this verse in Delhi, and there were many dignitaries there, likely also the mayor of Delhi. This was in the late 60s, early 70s. And of course, at that time, still the influence of Gandhi and Indian culture was still strong. And Srila Prabhupada was talking about this verse, and he said that one of our friends attempted to purify, or shudyanti, he said, but did not know the process. One of our friends. Very interesting. He didn't say Gandhi, but it's likely that he was referring to the idea of Gandhi labeling the untouchables, or mlechas and javanas, as Harijan, just to in order to afford them a little more respect in society. However, without the actual purification, change of habits and purification of habits and behavior, just changing a name alone is not going to be successful to change those habits. Within the realm of psychology and social work, there are people who don't have sharp intelligence. So there was a person in the early 1900s who came up with names for different levels of people who had difficulty with their intelligence. Those who were slightly below average intelligence, he labeled as morons. And those who were below that categories were called idiots. And the lowest realm he called were imbeciles. Of course, those names now have a very pejorative sense. If you called somebody a moron, they wouldn't like that. Would you agree? So after some time,
Yeah.
So after some time, they said, okay, we're not going to call people morons anymore. We'll call them mentally retarded. Yeah. So then, but after some time, then even that became pejorative or an insult. Or this person's a retard, right? So now it's becoming people are intellectually disabled. Okay, okay. So, but whatever the name of the person is, unless the activities and qualities are changed, the name is not that important, at least in this instance. So it's not possible to change just by a change of name, but it is possible. How? By regular, like Srila Prabhupada said, a regular program, a regular systematic association with the devotees of the Lord. And what does those devotees of the Lord, what is their interest in if they're associating with others? Their business is to engage them and give instructions about how to engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they will recommend people to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And not just to chant, but especially they'll encourage them to chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra every day. There's 24 hours in a day, and we may sleep for 6 or 7 or 8 hours, and might work for 8 hours. How that lasts, so that if you take up 16 hours, that leaves another 8 hours. Got to eat and do some work, other cleaning your body. That leaves several hours. At least one can spend 2 hours in chanting the holy names of the Lord. And Lord Chaitanya assures us, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadavagni Navapanam, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, Vidyavadu Jivanam, Anandam Buddhi Bardam, Pratipadam Purnamrita Svaradam, Sarvatma Snapanam, Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. It says, all glories to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan that cleanses the heart from all the dust accumulated for years together. And he doesn't say, oh, this is just for the people from a Hindu background or Christian background or Muslim background. He doesn't say that. It's for anybody by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and the taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord under the direction of the pure devotee is the same. Lord Krishna, when he appeared, his final instruction in Bhagavad Gita was Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. You give up all ideas of concocted dharma, Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, etc., and just take shelter of me. I'll protect you from all sinful reactions. People, though, instead of following that instruction, they say, who is this Krishna? Why should I follow? So Lord Krishna came again as Lord Chaitanya, and he said the same instruction, but this time he said, take shelter of chanting the holy names, which is Krishna. Kirtaniya Sadahari. So this idea that one can purify, anyone can be purified by association of the devotees of the Lord, although it may be contrary to the thinking of people who are raised in a Orthodox Hindu background, that is not the correct understanding of Vedic literature. Therefore, there are so many verses like Chandalam hi dvija shrestha hari bhakti parayana. Chandal is a name of persons who are, there's four varnas within the varnashram system. Later it became caste, but actually it's varna, class. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And they follow particular rules and regulations in the varnashram system. But those who are outside the classification of the varnashram system, who give up following those specific purificatory rules and regulations, are called the fifth group, or they sometimes called Chandala, Mlecha, Jabana. But Chandalam, certainly even a Chandala, Dvija Shrestha, becomes the best of the twice born. How? Hari Bhakti Parayana. By becoming a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. And how to become a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Krishna mentions that in Bhagavad Gita very clearly in the 4th chapter, where he's discussing about the transmission of transcendental knowledge. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. If you actually want to know what's going on, what's really going on in this world, what our purpose of life is, how to get out of this cycle of birth and death, then the method is you approach a pure devotee, Vaishnava, in disciplic succession. Inquire from them and render service to them. Take shelter of them. Upashraya ashraya. The pure devotee or the spiritual master can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Just like Sanatana Goswami said, if you take bell metal, and bell metal is just an ordinary metal, it's nothing so special. And with a special alchemical process, you can turn it into gold. Similarly, people from all backgrounds, even in low-class backgrounds, by initiation of the pure devotee Vaishnava, can become like gold, elevated to the position of beyond a Brahmin, even above a Brahmin. So this is actually a little difference between the Vedic system and the Pancharatriki system. In the Vedic system, it was generally the case that Brahmins would be teaching Brahmins, and like that. And Vaishyas would be, somebody born in a Vaishya family would be Vaishyas. And that's, of course, somewhat natural because it gives them an opportunity. A person who's born in a family of doctors, usually the doctor makes good money so they can send their child to medical school, and so they have an opportunity to be a doctor. But it's not just by being born in the family of doctors that you have the qualification as a doctor. You have to go through the rigorous training. So similarly, anyone, regardless of their birth status, can become to the highest platform, a Vaishnava, by adequate, regular, rigorous training, which begins with regular chanting of the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you go to an engineer and you ask them, well, you don't ask them, oh, what's your birth? You find, are they qualified? That's the question. Have they gone through proper education and training? So this is a point here. And what is the need for purification? Well, we're all struggling for happiness in this world, yet lasting and fulfilling happiness is not to be found here. We are condemned to problems not only in this current life, but also in the next life as well. We are repeating the same old birth, death, old age, and disease, and trying to enjoy life after life, thinking that we can enjoy matter through the senses of the body. But again and again, we are baffled. It's something like, I don't know if anybody have ever read the Peanuts comic strip. It's very interesting that there's Charlie Brown and Lucy. So every fall, Lucy would hold a football on the ground for Charlie Brown to kick. And Charlie Brown would run toward the football to kick the football off the ground. And at the last minute, Lucy would pull the ball away. Charlie Brown would kick and miss because there was no ball there anymore and fall back on his head. And would happen every single fall. And she would say, oh, no, this time I won't pull it away. But then she would pull it away. This is our experience of Maya. We're thinking, oh, this time I will get happiness from material sense gratification. But Maya is very clever, even more clever than Lucy. And she gives us an idea of happiness through sense gratification, but it never works. So therefore, it's important for us to focus on how we can really fully take shelter of the lotus feet of the devotees of the Lord. So in this verse, there's various kinds of persons are mentioned, and they're all in the outside the realm of those four varnas that I mentioned. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And of course, among all those classifications mentioned, Kirata, Hunanda, there's us there too, because we're also part of that those groups that have in the past at least fallen away from the strict following of Vedic culture. And there's a description in this verse which is very interesting. It's like geographical of the different parts of the world where these different persons who might be elevated by taking shelter of the lotus feet of a devotee are situated. So the first one mentioned, I'll just go over this very briefly, is the Kiratas. Kiratas, let's go up. Let's take a look briefly here, yeah. So Srila Prabhupada talks about the Kiratas as from the Santal Parganas in Bihar and Chota Nagpur. So I looked this up, and Parganas, nowadays in India you have like districts, like in the United States you have counties. So in India there's district, and Parganas is the Persian word for district in the old days before. And Santal Parganas, they're no longer in Bihar, this area. It's in now, because Bihar was in some parts of were separated into the other new state called named. You know what it is? Anybody?
Not really. I don't.
Jharkhand. Jharkhand. You know Jharkhand? That's like the jungle that Lord Chaitanya went through. So there's some hilly regions there south of the Ganges, and that's where this people. So often they're hill people, hill tribes. Sometimes Prabhupada said that the Kiratas were also Africans. And when Arjuna was doing austerities in the mountains, to get special weapons for the future fight against the Kauravas, he was meditating and practicing austerities. And one time a demon in the form of a boar was running towards him. And he shot an arrow just before he arrived. The boar arrived to attack him. And at the same time, simultaneously, a hunter, and they specifically called the Kirata, shot the boar. And then there was a conflict between Arjuna and the hunter over who had shot the boar first and whose kill it was. And so they fought. And turns out the Kirata was Lord Shiva in disguise. Those Kiratas or those hunter people. Then Pulindas. Pulindas. So Huns were the second. Huns. I think you missed Huns, right? Yeah, Huns. Huns. Yeah, you remember, I mean, there's one famous Hun that people talk about. You know who that Hun is? Hun? Have you ever heard of Attila the Hun? Anybody? Attila the Hun?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Attila, so this is east of the Danube River and west of the Volga River in the part of what was then Russia, but now is mostly in Ukraine, that area, uh, and northeast of Germany and part of Germany. And those Huns, they attacked Europe and during the Roman times, and they were nomads on horses. And then this is very interesting. The Andhras, these Andhras are categorized among the uh, fifth class, the outside of Vedic culture. So Andhra Pradesh, at least at this time, it was including Hyderabad and Vishakhapatnam and those places in South India. And nowadays, you think of now. I think Hyderabad is now, is that Telangana? Is that right? Anybody there?
Yes.
Yeah, but prior to that, it was part of Andhra. So anyway, how is it that Andhra is included in these list of provinces where people are outside of Vedic culture? So nowadays, you think, oh, people from Andhra Pradesh, they tend to be more interested in devotional service. Interesting question, eh? I mean, you can understand the Huns, the Karatas, but why the Andhras? Any idea?
I don't know.
Well, it's interesting that I asked this question to Vaisheshik Prabhu, my godbrother. So he had his followers research the idea. So they found apparently many, long time ago, uh, Vishvamitra had 100 sons. And then he adopted a son, an older son. And he wanted his 100 sons to accept the oldest adopted son as their senior. 50 of his sons said, okay. And 50 of his sons said, no way. We're not going to respect this older son. He's not even one of our blood relatives. So what Vishvamitra did is he banished those 50 sons. And you know where he banished them to? Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh. And he said that you're going to be outside the Vedic culture. So they were considered nichas because they rejected Vishvamitra's order. So of course, later, the preaching of Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya and other great saintly persons, and Lord Chaitanya, not Lord Chaitanya came through there, revitalizing their people's Krishna consciousness. But at least at the time of Shukadev Goswami, that was the case. The Pulindas, the Greeks, we say, there's the Vedic race that went there. Abhiras, now the Abhiras, it's mentioned that they're a couple interesting things here. We're situated on the river Saraswati in Sindh, but you don't see any river Saraswati in Sindh anymore, do you? We know about the confluence of the Ganges, Jamuna, and Saraswati in Allahabad, Prayag. But apparently, in ancient times, the river Saraswati was going from northeast to southwest through the Sindh province, which is just southwest of Gujarat of Punjab and west of Gujarat in what's now Pakistan. And here it says that the Sindh was also on the other side of the Arabian Sea, which is very interesting because apparently that the inhabitants there were the culture was also across the Arabian Sea to the other side. That would be the Arabian Peninsula. So this would be including what now we would call, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. There's a theory that the Vedic culture came from outside of India by Aryans, coming from the Caucasus region, and they brought Indian Vedic culture here, whereas the original inhabitants of Hindustan, of Bharatvarsha, were lower class Dasyus, and they were improved by these invading Aryans. Well, we don't find that here. In fact, we don't find any mention of uh, the Aryans coming from outside, coming into India, which is very interesting. The Abiras, I looked for Abiras in the Veda base, and the only other mention of Abiras was Srila Prabhupada said they're known to be dacoits, this group at least, not everybody in Sindh, but and they were the ones who, some of them were responsible for attacking Krishna's queens when Arjuna was bringing them back from Dwarka after Lord Krishna's disappearance, the Ambiras. So then we have the Shumbas, the Kankas, the Yavanas. This is a little tricky because Srila Prabhupada said Yavana was the name of the son, one of the sons of Maharaj Yayati. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find the sons' names are Turvasu, which is mentioned later, Yadu, Anu, and Druyu, and Puru, 5 sons. So it's not clear which of those is Maharaj Yavana. It was not unusual for kings to have more than one name. But anyway, according to that description, this Maharaj Yavana was there in Turkey, and later they had dominated the land of Bharatvarsha, which came to be true. Then Kas, the Mongolians, the Japanese, Chinese, whose hair on the upper lip is stunted. They're all given parts of the, they're all parts of the race of Kasas. Now, an interesting point will be, in one discussion that Srila Prabhupada was giving on this particular verse, he mentioned that there are many species of human beings. As you know, there's 400,000 species. Is that right? Human species?
Yes.
Yeah. So he doesn't directly say that all these different classes of people mentioned are different species, but it seems that it's intimated in that way. So what is a Vedic species? Is it the same as the species that's mentioned in modern science today? My godbrother Sadhaputta, who's a very brilliant scientist, he mentioned that in his view, the Vedic species he didn't believe were the same as the species categories that are accepted today. The thing that differentiates species in modern science is two members of the same species, if they procreate, they have a fertile offspring, right? You heard this before? Know this? Yeah. So, of course, people from these different, the Karatas and Hunans, they can have fertile offspring if so they must be members of the same species according to modern science, but it could be that they're different species according to the Vedic view. You follow that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And even the reports in verifiable reports in literature that in the Caucasus Mountains and the Ural Mountains, there are Yeti that have procreated with humans and have fertile offspring. So that's a very interesting point. So we have all these different places where somebody can, a person, if they're from one of these different groups or places, they can become purified by taking shelter of the devotee of the Lord. Well, what about Philadelphia, Harrisburg, Reading, Lancaster, Erie, Allentown? Do you think that will also apply?
Yeah.
Yes.
Opportunity, everybody's sinful. That defines the whole world practically. So Lord Chaitanya has made it available for everyone to chant.
Yeah.
If they want to, it can be purified through the
Yeah.
chanting of the holy name.
So Srila Prabhupada also comments on this verse that, Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabunoi, or Nitya Siddha, sometimes he would say it, Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti, Sadhya Kabunoi, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte, Karaya Udoy. It's the natural quality of every living being to be a servant of Krishna, to have Krishna Bhakti within their hearts. And just by the proper association and hearing from a purified devotee, and taking shelter of that devotee, it comes out. The natural bhakti, the natural love of appreciation of Krishna comes out. And he would say that repeatedly. It's not something foreign. It's there within each one of us, and with the proper conditions. Just like a seed when it's planted, if you water it, it gets sunshine, and you pull the weeds, then it develops naturally. So we in the Krishna consciousness movement should really take this to heart about how we're going to make sure that the proper message is delivered to everybody, whether it's Kiratas, Huns, Philadelphia, Allentown, Harrisburg. And we will see if we deliver the proper message that people will naturally, automatically, they'll be attracted. We don't have to doctor the message at all if we give it purely, just as given by the pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada. There's so many examples of people who've this principle of coming from a dark background by association of devotees of the Lord have become really elevated persons. Maybe you know some of them. Can you give examples?
Practically everybody in this camp, except those who came from the spiritual world, they just
Yeah.
practically everybody in this camp.
The hunter who met Narada Muni.
Brigari. Yeah, Brigari. He was a hunter, and he was not just killing animals. Narada Muni he had visited Narayan, and he was on his way back. He stopped at Prayag. He was going through some forest on a forest path, and he saw there was a deer, a rabbit, and a boar were not just shot with arrows and they were suffering, but their legs would have been broken to make them increase the pain. So anyway, he talked to the hunter. He found the hunter. The hunter was initially ticked off because Narada Muni's passing had frightened all the other animals that he was killing away. And Narada Muni said, I know you're a hunter by trade, but why are you half killing the animals? Why don't you just kill them? The hunter was getting special glee from half the torture of the animals. So Narada Muni said, yeah, I know that you're a hunter, but just kill them. Just do me one favor. Please do me one favor. So the hunter says, oh, yeah, I'll give you a tiger skin. I'll give you a bear skin if you want. No. Narada Muni said, no, just give me this one favor. Don't half kill the animals anymore. Just kill them outright. And Srila Prabhupada comments in the purport that uncivilized men, they get some karma for killing animals. But civilized people who should know better, they get much more karma from killing. Or in this case, what Mrigari was doing was half killing them and enjoying their suffering. So he said that you're going to have to suffer more pain because of that. And these animals that you've killed are going to kill you in your next this life or future lives. So he accepted Narada Muni's instruction and said, what do I do? You break your bow. How will I live? How will I live? Well, I'll send you food. Don't worry. Just break your bow, go to the bank of the river. Could be Ganges. Build a little hut, take the Tulsi tree, and water the Tulsi tree every day and always chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And such a hunter who was delighting in half killing animals became so purified that he wouldn't even be interested in harming an ant. He was very careful not to harm even an ant. There's so many. That's a very nice example. Then you have Prahlad Maharaj, whose father was a big demon. You have Haridas Thakur. So it works. It does work. It does work. This process of Krishna consciousness. Another reason I think I really like this verse is because it predicts Srila Prabhupada's activities. Do you follow? Do you follow this?
Yeah, I have some thoughts on it too. But anyway, when it comes to
Who
questions,
else? Who else has gone to all these different places in the world and delivered people? I mean, Narad Muni, yes. And following Narad Muni, Srila Prabhupada went among the hill people, the Karatas, among the Andhras, among the Pulindas, the Italians, the Germans, the Russians, the Africans, the degraded Americans, the hippies. So this is a prediction. This verse is a prediction about Srila Prabhupada in a sense. Do you follow?
yeah,
It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, I know it's time. I
Thank you
I,
very much, bro.
I was going on and on about this.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was also thinking about this whole thing about what McGary the Hunter did when these people gave us an example. It actually, not that it's connected necessarily, but only a small part of it maybe. In the Mahabharata, the Kurukshetra War, how Duryodhana was left to die.
Yes.
Mhm. He had to just, his thigh was broken and he was left to bleed to death. Mhm. Suffer first and then die. The thought just crossed my mind. Don't know whether you want to comment on it or not. Doesn't matter.
What is your comment?
I thought it was interesting because I was just as I was thinking about it, I was thinking about all the but for him, the animals obviously are innocent. The way
Yes.
McGuy was, but for him, he was punished. He was left to die a slow death. He could have been shot an arrow in the heart, and that would have been it. But the Lord left him to, you know, to think about what he had done as he was bleeding to death. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just a thought that occurred to my mind.
Lord Balaram was very unhappy about that.
Yeah, well,
And Lord Balaram is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was his follower of art of fighting with a club. But of course, we also, on the other hand, Bhima had specifically said that he was going to smash that thigh, which Duryodhana had shown to Draupadi as trying to entice her to accept him as her husband, and he would also had been protected by the glance of Mother Gandhari, so that his upper portions couldn't be there was invincible.
mm,
Uh, mm, so yeah, there might be some.
right.
Yes, but some people were concerned about, yeah, Balaram, not only some people, but Balaram himself was angry that he had been killed in that way. So there's
Mm,
certainly a possibility like that.
anyway, Hare Krishna.
What should
So
have
did
Bhima done? What should have Bhima done?
I don't think that if he kept the rules of the mace fighting that he could have actually defeated Duryodhana because the way his body had been fortified by his mother. Um, but then again, Krishna is Krishna. He's cause of all causes. The plan was he decided to have, to remind him that you took a vow, you gave a vow that you would break that tie. So go ahead and break it. And of
Yes.
course, Duryodhana had committed so many things, done so many things, without following whatever the rules were. That happened so many times, so many days in the
Yeah,
Kurukshetra
you
war.
think
So,
about it. Think about it. Think about it. He tried to burn. He was responsible for the conspiracy to kill the Pandavas in various ways, particularly by burning their house down in
mm,
Kurochan. Yeah. So in the world, if you think about it, in the world, if someone tries to murder somebody, don't they get arrested?
yeah,
Wouldn't
they
they get
might be.
arrested? Yeah,
Yes.
sure, they get arrested. They put in jail. But Duryodhana and so when the Pandavas escaped, then everybody knew that it was Duryodhana and company. But still, he didn't he got away with it somehow. Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting?
Yeah.
So
Mm,
attempted murder. was the person in charge of the government for some time, was guilty of attempted murder, and people knew. A little scary, a little scary. But here, of course, these people who are the Kiratas, the Vinandas, the Pulinda Pulkashas, their sinful activities are, intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex, gambling. Those are the primary functions in the outside the Vedic fold. Those are the happinesses that people look for, and they just bring one to the lower consciousness.
Yeah. So, if anybody's, I know we passed the hour, but if you have any comments, questions, realizations you'd like to pull in now, short questions, please do so.
Did you get the idea of the Andres? Andres?
Mm,
Anyway, I thought that was quite interesting. The Andres.
and I know
Prananath is no longer an Anya. He used to be an Andhra, isn't it?
I'm sinful. So Andhra or Telangana, it doesn't matter. So Prabhuji, I had a question. In the purport for Pulindas, Prabhupada writes, this Pulinda province was also one of the provinces of Bharat, and the inhabitants were classified amongst the Kshatriya kings, but later on, due to their giving up the Brahmanical culture, they were mentioned as Malichas. And in other place also, I heard in the purport about some of the tribes were under King Yudhishthira. So these were all devotees. Is that the right way to see, who somehow or the other, because of the influence of Kali, drifted away?
Well, they were under the influence of Maharaj Yudhishthir. Whether they were devotees, I don't know, but at least they were following. They had some Vedic. They were following Vedic rules. There are different kinds of followers of Vedas. Some, in the Vedas also there are demigod worshippers, but at least they were following Vedic systems, and that's one of the reasons why Maharaj Yudhishthir wanted to hold the Rajasuya sacrifice. Remember?
Yeah.
Because what a great person does, everybody follows. So he brought all the kings of the world together to engage him in devotional service. How's that? So they all had to come, and the first thing they did, they had to worship Krishna, right? Devotional service. So this is his big Sankirtan, having a Rajasuya sacrifice, get all the kings together and worship Krishna. So, yeah, Pulindas, apparently at some point they were following Vedic rules, and perhaps that included being devotees, but then at a certain point they became influenced, as you say, by Maya, Kali Yuga, and fell away.
Yeah. Well, the Pandavas, especially Maharaj Yudhishthira, it says in Brihad Bhagavatamrita that they were always kind of coming up with different strategies to get people to connect with Krishna.
Yes.
That's what they were doing. They were ruling, and they were also very, very much Krishna-centered in all their activities, and trying to get the citizens to do the same.
Yes.
That was the
I really like this verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You might have been able to tell. It's a wonderful verse. I'd recommend everybody learn the verse. It's a little fun. Kirata, Hunandra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abira, Shumba, Ravana, Kasadaya. Yeah.
That's right.
Yadupashraya Shriya Shudanti Tasmai Prabhu Vishnave Nama. That's our condition. And the last thing Srila Prabhupada said was that Lord Chaitanya didn't identify himself as a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or sannyasi. He identified himself only as the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the master of the gopis. So part of the problem in the Vedic culture was people became misled, thinking that it was only people born in certain families that could progress in spiritual life. But that idea has been demolished by the acharyas, particularly Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, for the benefit of the whole world.
Right. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you. Vanchakapataru Krishna
Chakapatari
Vasantyo
Kripasundari
Chapatitanam
Titanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this verse. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's Krishna's arrangement. It just fell out in the lap for today. Hare Krishna. Thank you, all devotees. So have a nice, wonderful day, and of course, towards the weekend. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.